Welcome to the Totally Honest Cooking Show. I'm Mark. Today we're making latkes. Now, you can peel these if you want. I don't. I like to eat the skins. The skins are good for you. We're going to start with 3 largest potatoes. These are still kind of wet from being washed. Whoopsie doodle. And we're just going to grate them in a box grater. And that looks like this. Now, you're going to keep doing that until you've got all 3 potatoes done. Pretty easy, right? Now, before time has a chance to make fools of us all, you'll be done. It's pretty quick. You won't have to do that much. My recommendation, get the largest potatoes you can get. Makes the process much easier. Next up, we got to wring the potatoes out. Now, you might have watched my hash browns episode where I used a towel for this. My kitchen towels are way too thick to effectively do this, and I think that's why it was so difficult. So, today I'm using cheesecloth. I'm just going to take a bunch of potato, about 2 big handfuls worth. Get as much of the potato off my hands as I can. Then I'm going to fold it into a nice little ball up here. I'm going to take a spoon. I'm going to wrap it around. Now I'm going to hold it over a bowl that I'm not using. You're going to need a lot of bowls for this. And I'm going to tighten this as much as I can. And you're going to get all that water out. Now, when you start to hear it rip like that, undo your little tourniquet up here. You may have to rearrange a little bit if you overdid. You know I overdo on this show a lot. Rearrange my bag a little bit. And now I'm just going to do a quick, see if I can get any more out. Now, you will notice that you're not going to be able to get all of the water out unless you do extremely small batches, and even then you're probably not going to be successful without destroying the cheesecloth, tearing a towel, or some other kitchen-related atrocity. Just do the best you can. Hope for the best. You know, I know this is a lot of bowls to have out at once. It's just easier this way. Grab yourself another 2 handfuls. I'm just finishing up the last potato. Some of you are going to be tempted to skip this step, right? You know, why spend 10 minutes of my life wringing out potatoes? That feels like craziness. But the reason you do this is because moisture is the enemy of crispiness. Part of deep frying is getting the moisture out. If you want crispiness, you need lower moisture. So if you're having a hard time making hash browns at home, if you're having a hard time with anything involving potatoes and crispiness, try draining the water out first. Obviously, that's only going to work on shredded potatoes, I think. I don't know. I'm not a potato scientist. So now, you're going to let that sit for 5 minutes. The starch in the water is going to, like, stick to the bottom. Okay. Next up, you're going to want a large onion. Now, if you were thinking about it, you could have grated it when you grated the potato. I did not think about it, and I already put it in my sink, which means it's dead to me until I wash it, which I don't feel like doing right now. So, if you don't have a large onion, you can use 2 lesser onions, obviously, and that's what I'm doing. And of course, by now you know how to dice an onion. You're just going to make a lattice work of cuts, and then you're just going to shred. Right? Right. Don't make me look a fool, onion. Once we're done with the onion, we're going to go ahead and pour the water out, because we want this potato starch on the bottom. Speaking of potato starch, I'm also adding a 1/4 cup of potato starch to this. It'll act as a binder, and it will also add to the crispiness. Mwahaha, mystical crispiness. Okay, I got 3 eggs out I'm going to use 2 to start with. If we need the third one, we'll use it. Then we're just going to whisk everybody together. You might have to scrape a little bit to get all the starch off the bottom, and that's okay. Okay, there we go. I'm going to add about half of my potatoes. I'm going to use about a half a tablespoon of paprika. That's optional. I'm going to throw in my onion. I'm going to quickly bash up some garlic that I should have done. Oh, take 2. I'm going to quickly bash up some garlic. When you're editing this, remind me to figure out where that garlic landed. I did not expect it to go airborne. Oh, Jesus. Then we're going to crush the garlic in on top of the onion. Use as much garlic as you want to use. I like garlic. On top of that, I'm going to sprinkle a teaspoon of kosher salt. If you've got coarse salt instead of fine, use 2. And then the rest of the potato. And now I'm going to start mixing. Now you want these to squish together easily. If they're not, then you're going to need more egg. Okay, if you find you need even more egg after this, feel free to grab a 4th egg. Now, if it feels super eggy, hold on, I didn't add pepper. Pepper mill's empty. Now, if we find we have an excess of egg and they're still not holding together, we can add more potato starch, but they look like they're holding. I have faith. Now, I like giant potato pancakes, so that's what I'm doing. Like the biggest they'll hold together and form. I'm adding more potato starch. If you're a traditionalist, you would use flour or matzah. I can't have flour, so I'm trying to get by with potato starch. Why aren't you sticking together? I hate you. Okay, just in case we cut it, I got pissed and added half a cup more potato starch. That seems to be doing the trick. So my advice, if you're trying to avoid the flour and the matzah for some reason, just a bunch of potato starch. Keep adding starch or your other thickener until they stick together. And once they stick together, you're good. At this point, I'm coming over to my oil. I'm turning it up on high. And I'm going for 350 degrees. Okay, once you hit 350, shape up your latkes and drop them in and see what happens. Okay, we're gonna let them bubble for a little bit. Then once they start looking brown, I'm gonna give them a little flip. I definitely made these too big, probably. We'll see what happens in a minute. The goal of deep frying them was to not have to flip them as much, Mark. What are you doing? If you're tearing your hair out right now because I'm doing this wrong, feel free to leave a comment. Let me know what I should have done differently. I don't always know what I'm doing on this show. It's part of my charm, I like to think. Don't say that, Mark. It's why you're not making the Babish money. Okay, as the potato starts looking done, I'm going to pull it. Now, one thing I've learned from this show, this white stuff is the starch. It cooks up, but it doesn't firm up as much as flour might. Once you get these colossal things on your wire rack, give them a quick sprinkling. I like to use the coarse salt for this. Bigger salt flavor, a little bit better presentation. Now let's do a couple small ones that are a little bit more sane. How about that? One of the things that I skipped that I shouldn't have was the temperature check. Yeah. Between batches, you want to bring it back up to 350, and I didn't. That's why the second batch is not cooking as quickly as the first batch did. That's a whoopsie doodle right there. And with time, even the smaller ones finish. I got some smoked salmon. Just lay it right on top of there. Big old dollop of sour cream. Ooh. Don't move your salmon too much, Mark. You're screwing up the presentation. For the gram. And some chives. Now, if it's not a latke, it's some sort of latke adjacent potato ball. And I bet it's delicious. Look at that. Okay, I'm gonna go eat this and find out if it's a latke. Like, subscribe, click the little bell. I'll see you next time. Leave a comment down below and let me know if I messed this up too badly for it to, exist in real life. Bye. I just want to take a second to do a quick post-mortem. Bigger is not always better. Sometimes if you make them too huge, they don't cook through all the way. And the ratio gets kind of off between crispiness and fluffy interior. In all, I recommend trying to keep it more to a mid-size between the giant ones and the tiny ones. But that's just my recommendation. See you next week.